Hi there, Sandra here from the Schwowin's Nest. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am joining my sweet friend Annie Jones in a Farmhouse Thrift Store Flip Challenge. If you haven't been over to visit Annie's channel, you've got to go take a look. I will have her link down in the description box. She does all her DIYs and crafts live, so you can sit and chat with her and watch what she's doing. It's so much fun. Please go check it out. I have a gorgeous thrift store flip for you made from this mailbox that somebody decided to paint purple and orange lettering on. It's actually not a mailbox, it's a bread box. So that's what I'm going to make it into. I'm going to remove first those two little knobs, and then I'm going to give it some paint and make it look absolutely gorgeous. Using some coarse grit sandpaper, I am trying to get the paint off. This was put on fairly thick. It's probably just acrylic paint, but it's stuck on here really well. I'm also using my finger to just make sure that it's nice and smooth, because if I don't leave it smooth, it's going to show up when I paint, and if I decide to distress, you're going to see those letters show up. I have a couple of chalk paint brushes by Bennett. They're available at the Home Depot. I think they might even be a Canadian product, but I will have them linked in my description box. And I'm going to be using the large one simply because I couldn't find my little round one, which is my absolute favorite guy. He's buried somewhere in my craft room, which I'm at the moment hopefully going to be able to clean out soon. Anyway, I like using chalk paint brushes when I'm using name brand chalk paint, and also when I'm doing a project that I know I'm going to be selling, and this is something that I'm going to sell. Here's what the brown looks like after one coat. It's completely dry. It's a beautiful color. I was originally going to just distress it and make it look like old weathered wood in the darker tones, but I've changed my mind and I'm going to go back to my chalk paint. This time I'm using the DIY chalk paint recipe, which is down in my description box, and I'm just going to be using a small paintbrush from the dollar store. I'm going to be doing almost 3 coats. I'm going to do 2 full coats, and then sometimes there's just some areas that need to get touched up. Here's the part that I wanted to show you what not to do. This happened when I tried to do the second coat of the DIY chalk paint and the first coat wasn't 100% dry. It ends up pulling off the paint that was there previously, and it leaves really rough marks that you end up having to sand down. So if you're using a DIY chalk paint, make sure you let that dry for 2 to 3 hours in between coats to make sure you're not going to be pulling off and making a mess of the first layer. Even though there's a few things you have to remember when using this DIY chalk paint, it goes on really nice. You can see it's a beautiful color. It's covering everything really nicely. So just take your time with projects with this type of paint. I'm painting the edges of everything, and I'm going inside the bread box just a little bit, just to make sure that when I close the lid, you can't see any of that pine color peeking through, but the rest of the interior is going to stay that way. I'm going to clean it out nicely because I don't want to put any paint in there where there's going to be food stored. I'm going to show you quickly how I create my own stencils. This is a stencil burning tool that I grabbed at Michael's. It was around $50, but I did use my 40% off coupon. I have some stencil blanks, also from Michael's. All the links will be down in my description box. And then I printed off the word bakery. To do this procedure, you do need a clear piece of glass. This is just from an old frame. The first thing I'm going to do is tape the word bakery onto the glass so I can see it from the bottom. Then I'll flip the glass over and tape the stencil blank on top of the word. I'm going to link a full tutorial video that I have for these stencils down in my description box, so go take a look at that if you want to see a full tutorial and get a step-by-step instruction. Now that the paint is completely dry, I'm taking some fine grit sandpaper. I believe this is a 200 or a 220 grit. And I'm just going very lightly across the edges. I don't want to go down to that pine color. I just want to go down to the dark brown, which will really accentuate all of the distressing that I'm doing. Don't forget to go down to my description box and click on the playlist link. You are sure to be inspired by all of the Farmhouse Thrift store flips that people are creating for you today. If you don't have a stencil like this, you could also just use individual letters and just put them in an arc format. It's a little tough for me to do that. I have yet to find something that is a good shape for an arc. I guess I could just cut out a piece of cardboard and use that. So maybe I'll try that next time around. But I've got my little stencil cutter that I invested in, so I'm going to be using it to create different stencils. I'm also going to be using the design from a different stencil, and I'm just going to stencil that on the very top of the bread box just to give that a little bit more of a farmhouse look. I've also got some tiny little stencils that I'm going to use across the bottom to make the words fresh bread daily. And what I'm going to do is start with the word bread because that's my center word, and I'll center that right under the word bakery. And then once I'm completed that one, I'll go do the word fresh, but I'm going to start with the H first and work my way backwards, and then I'll come back to, after the word bread, do the word daily in a regular way. For the two little wooden knobs for the bread box, I'm going to use this black Tremclad hammered metal finish spray paint. I like to just stick things on some bamboo skewers that are in a piece of styrofoam, and it's really easy then to just hold it, spray paint it, move everything around, and then just set it down to let it dry. To put them back on, I'm just going to use my screwdriver and the original screw that came with the knobs. I'm not really happy with the placement of the word bakery. I think it probably would look better if it was pushed down about a half an inch or so, a little bit more white space in between the knob and the word, but unfortunately, it is what it is. The very last step is to use this Rust-Oleum chalked protective top coat in matte clear and a really soft brush to give it a really light coat all the way around, and that will just seal in the paint and allow you to wipe it down whenever you need to. Even with all the issues I had, I think it turned out pretty sweet. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I'd love for you to stick around a while by hitting that red subscribe button. Click the bell to get notified when I upload new videos, and give me a big thumbs up. It really helps my channel grow. Thanks for watching.